Hello, everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 27th of June 2022. It's Gary here again, and with us now officially being in summertime, that can mean only one thing, that we are indeed getting closer and closer to at least the start of friendly season, and then shortly after that, competitive action will be back before we know it. So the next time we talk, which will be a week from today, Rangers' competitive bid for 56 will be less than a month away from kicking off, and I personally cannot wait for that. I was getting a wee bit puffed out at the end of a 65 game season last season, but it usually just takes a couple of weeks to replenish the batteries, and then all of a sudden, bang, we're ready to go, and you're just itching to get back at it. The club seem to be in a bit of a pattern of re-signing old guys and looking at signing really young guys, which is an interesting tactic for right now. But some players that were kind of slap bang in the middle of 16 and 36 age-wise would be kind of handy and kind of cool, and even some players that we've even heard of would be kind of ace as well. We're just about a month away from our first competitive game, and we need the guys to be able to come in as quickly as possible and bed in and get a pre-season under their belt and start to contribute right away. I'm not telling you what to do, Rangers, but freshening the squad close season is what we are typically about. And I think I did say a wee while back that I was sure that once the players were back, we'd start to see some action on the transfer front, and I'm more than confident now that this is the case, quite simply because that's exactly where we're at right now with the players and most of the players and the coaching staff returning today. So we'll see how that goes. On to the game segment for this week. As I said last week, for anyone who listened, as soon as I review the friendlies, the club will announce more, because there was that kind of 2-week gap in the middle. And that's exactly what happened, of course, which is just the way that things go, isn't it? So here we have the confirmed friendlies list now for the preparation to season 2022-23. Saturday, the 9th of July, we have Rangers versus Sunderland, and that's the one that's in Portugal, in the Estadio Municipal de Albufeira, and that's a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's 8 p.m. UK time. Saturday the 16th of July, that's Blackpool versus Rangers at Bloomfield Road, and that's a 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 3 p.m. UK. Tuesday the 19th of July, Rangers entertain West Ham in what could have been the Europa League final a few short weeks ago there. And that's on, as I say, Tuesday the 19th, and that's 2:45 Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 7:45 UK. And the final one we have is Saturday the 23rd of July, and that's Rangers versus Spurs at Ibrox at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 p.m. kickoff. And then the week after that, we are heading to Livingston on the 30th and for the first game of the regular league season, and then it's all systems go after that. I am absolutely, truly hoping for domestic dominance for next season. That's the cornerstone for success for every single Rangers team, and that's what we want and that's what we need. And this Rangers team and staff need to produce it for us. A wee domestic treble would be kind of nice for us next season. Giovanni, please and thank you. So we'll see if he can actually deliver on that. The end of the season was very good, as I mentioned before. He just figured out how to win games domestically 1 week too late after the last Old Firm defeat. So that was too bad. Anyway, on to RTV. As I'd mentioned previously, our attentions are on squaring up all of last season's payments, and we're very much now in the final throes of that process. We've communicated with RTV, thanked them for their patience, as our clubs all had varying degrees of success in returning to their new post-pandemic normalcy, and we have agreed the costs with RTV and we'll be getting them paid as quickly as possible. We actually just received the invoice for that today, and this is also the time when we'd typically be conducting our RTV survey to see what clubs can realistically afford going into next season, and I will be chatting with Alan McWatt, our RTV director, on that one hopefully this week, maybe early next week, just to determine what our best strategy is for that as we move forward. So we will see how that one goes. For shout outs, Firstly, I would like to start by wishing NARSA's very own Lorraine Spence a very happy belated birthday for this past Saturday, the 25th of June. As you'll probably know, Lorraine joined our NARSA executive last year as the marketing and sponsorship director and has been fantastic in her role. She's also the heartbeat of all the behind the scenes work that went into our spectacular convention earlier this month as well. We did chat with Lorraine last Thursday night and she just about got her voice back from Vegas at that point, enough to enjoy her birthday and probably lose it all over again. Anyway, but happy birthday, Lorraine, and thanks very much for everything. And you might have seen that details were announced for Rangers legend Davey Wilson's funeral, which is now confirmed for this coming Friday, the 1st of July at 3 p.m. at the Hurlet Crematorium. And that service at the Hurlet Crematorium is for family and friends. My understanding is that the intent is going to be that he will be paraded past Ibrox at some point after that service, but I don't know that that's been fully confirmed yet, so please don't quote me on that just in case it doesn't happen. But just wanted to wish young Davey and the entire family all the very, very best for this coming Friday. I know firsthand and from very recent events how difficult that can be, and as you know, we're here for anything you need. Very, very best of luck, and I'm sure you'll give the legend that is Davey Wilson a fantastic send off. Finally, on the shout outs, I wanted to send a special mention to the boys and girls at the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club for their very generous donation to, I believe it was a GoFundMe appeal for a woman by the name of Ellen Cassidy, who was attending the North American Federation of Celtic Supporters Clubs, I think that's what they're called, convention in Las Vegas a week after our convention, so basically just a couple of weeks ago. And Ellen was a lifelong Celtic fan and was attending the convention, having a great time by all accounts, took unwell, was taken to hospital, and then it was discovered during an operation that she had a very aggressive cancer, basically spread throughout her body, and unfortunately Ellen passed away a day or so later. And Brian Campbell, NARSA VP, and I had been talking about that since it was first reported, and kind of trying to figure out what we should do. And I had reached out to their Supporters Association via their web form on their website, but didn't receive a response, and unfortunately Ellen then passed a day later. But Brian's club, which is the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club, donated £500 to the appeal, which is just incredible generosity and goes to show that respect vastly outweighs sports every single day of the week. So sincere condolences from all of us here at NARSA to the Cassidy family, and well done again to Orange County Rangers Supporters Club for your generosity. And the Campbell family also sent me a beautiful plant last week to help continue the healing after my dad Ronnie's passing, which was such a fantastic and very, very much appreciated gesture. What a clan that family really are. Thanks very much again. On to convention matters for this week. Your NARSA executive held the first of what's going to be 2 lessons learned meetings this past Thursday night, and we got through, I think it was certainly over 30 lessons, which we kind of put under the heading of the convention would have or could have been better if, and then just we would put the actual lesson in there in the blank, and we worked through the list, and we have some tangible items that will help us move forward with more purpose and clarity on some things that we could be doing with some tweaking as we move forward for convention planning for 2023 and beyond. Some items were absolutely specific only to Vegas, just in terms of the logistics or the events that happened there or the location in and of itself, but others were most certainly applicable to any convention anywhere. It was a great meeting with value add input from everyone, so thanks again to the entire executive team for your time, your effort, your candour, your input and desire to continuously improve our organisation. The next meeting we'll be tackling the list of the things that went very well to ensure that we extract the lessons from those too. I imagine that meeting should be a wee bit later than Thursdays. Sometimes things can get a little bit tenuous or emotional, which actually we didn't really have much of that, to be honest, but But it's important just as much to learn from the things that went well as the things that didn't go so well. And we're going to try and organise that hopefully for next week if we can, and because we're still trying to balance giving everyone a bit of a breather after the monumental event that we just managed to pull off, and also continuing to keep the lights on the crucial items that helps us progress as an association. On to NARSA 2023, I can officially confirm that it is 353 days from today until Toronto Midtown host the biggest bash of the Rangers year. In weeks format, that is just over 50 weeks to go. We've started cursory planning and logistics dialogue with the team at Toronto Midtown, and we'll be getting on a kick-off call with them sometime in July. I think I said a couple of weeks ago we would have the call in June, but we still haven't wrapped up everything for Vegas. So after everything from an admin perspective is wrapped up from Vegas, then we'll certainly get on the phone and see where we go from there. We typically organise a hotel walkthrough to coincide with a general meeting sometime in the winter time. And I'll work with the NARSA executive to determine the dates for that, so that if anyone wants to join us and make a bit of a weekend of it, you're more than welcome to do that. We typically, in the last wee while anyway, I guess the last wee while is not very typical because of COVID, of course, but we typically have those around about the end of January, beginning of February time, so it gives us still enough time to plan things for the remainder of the time between then and the convention, and also it kind of gives us a wee bit of a halfway point in the season. And I took a cursory look at the fixtures, and it gives us a couple of home games, actually, one against St Johnstone and one against Ross County around about the end of January, beginning of February, so we might be able to coincide it with that. But more to follow on that once we know a wee bit more. If the World Cup was just a wee bit later, we might have tried to jet over to Toronto during that time, but it's most likely too early. We'll see how it works out, and of course, we'll let everybody know once we have that locked in. As I mentioned last week, one main difference that we have in place is our official travel partner, the Holiday and Flight Centre, putting on full packages that will include your flight accommodation and at the official NARSA hotel, of course, and your 3-night event packages. And this is the first time that we've done that one-stop shop type of idea. And I'm really hoping, as I'd mentioned, that it would be a blueprint for future conventions as well. I had a bit of a conversation just over text this morning with Rosie Ratter from the Holiday and Flight Centre, and we're going to get a chance to chit-chat this week and just get some dialogue going with the hotel and get some logistics planned there. As I mentioned before, it's going to be around about the August time frame that we will get those packages out, but we'll communicate what they are and how you order them and stuff like that well in advance of that. So yeah, lots happening in the background on the convention front. On to our communications for this week, and from a wee bit of a rapid fire perspective on the communications front. This past Friday, the club, as you'll absolutely know for sure, the club put out the home kit for sale, and I hadn't heard a thing about launch dates, nor did I see any leaks of the kit come out on social media, which maybe I would miss, but typically people get a bit frenzied about that, and I would typically see that. I'm not hugely into social media. So then I was a wee bit surprised to wake up and see that it's all out there for people to see and, of course, to purchase. And I don't know, I don't know if there's a perfect way to do a launch, but I'd have been inclined to build up a bit of anticipation. You know, if that was a NARSA launch, you might, for the folks that pay attention to the things that we'll communicate, we'll build up a wee bit of anticipation on this podcast, on our social media channels and our website, mostly our social media channels, to be honest, so that the buying public will be in a bit of a frenzy come launch day. That's what I would do if I was doing it, but it was all just a wee bit mute, and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining at all, because I'm absolutely not. It's maybe, to me, it just seems like maybe just a wee bit of a missed opportunity to have the worldwide fan base band together and get properly excited about a common goal that's coming our way. Anyway, the new kit is an absolute beauty. I have mine and the family's order in already, and hope to be able to be sporting it later this week if they actually follow through with their 4-day delivery promise to Canada. Fingers crossed to do, because I'm always excited to get my mitts on that. And it's report card day for Leo, my son, tomorrow, and assuming that he gets another tremendous report, which he seems to do every single time he gets a report card, then he will be sporting a lovely Rangers shirt at the end of the week. If it's a stink bomb, I'm not quite sure how we're going to manage that, so let's just focus on the positive. And as part of the launch on the Rangers website, if you haven't had a chance to see the interview that Neil Smith did with Graham Souness on the website or through the social media channels, I'm sure it was there as well, then if you haven't seen it, you definitely should. It's an absolutely brilliant chat and provides some insight into some of the things that he put into place when he revolutionised the club back in the 80s as well. I'll put a link to the interview with Graham on the blurb for tonight's pod, and you can go check it out if you feel like it. Last week I did talk about the Rangers 72 film, which tells the story of the 1972 Barcelona European Cup Winners' Cup winning team, and the fact that I'd asked the club about international release dates and logistics. I had a further idea, a little bit of a brainwave, that I'd love to know these details and then work with a local cinema here in Calgary and have a kind of watch party of bears to come down and make a bit of a day of it. And I really would genuinely love to do that. But if the international release date is too far out, I'm fairly sure the Bears are pretty industrious and they'll find ways to get to see the film, and then it's not quite the novelty factor that I was hoping for, and it would be kind of lost. So I would love to try, we'll see, and maybe that's something that other clubs worldwide might want to do as well, and make a bit more of a community feel to it. So there is more to follow when I know more. I did contact the club again actually yesterday, and they were going to check with who would it be now? I guess the production company or the broadcaster. Or I don't know my terminology so well, but they were going to check and double check what the international release dates were going to be. So more to follow, as I say, when I know more. Another week and another new commercial partner is announced by the club, and this time it's a back of the shirt sponsor, and the club said Rangers Football Club are delighted to announce an exciting new partnership with global electrical equipment engineering and manufacturing group Socomec. I think it's that, or Socomec. I'm going to go say Socomec. So through the partnership, Socomec will have their branding featured as the men's first team back of shirt sponsor for the upcoming 2022-23 season. Celebrating their centenary year, the independent industrial group was founded in France in 1922, Sacre Bleu. The family-owned company specialises in low-voltage energy performance and has a workforce of around 3,600 people across 5 continents. I think that's great work by everyone involved in that. As a kind of bit of a purist, or maybe just as an old fart, I'm not a huge fan of giving away a whole bunch of Rangers shirt real estate to adverts, but I do completely understand the business and the business need to do this sort of thing, and that's just a way that the world is working right now. And I have to say, to be dead fair, thus far most of the logos have been pretty unintrusive to the eyes, so hopefully that theme continues, but well done to James and his team for securing another back of shirt sponsor for next season. A quick reminder of NARSA Partners 5-star signing session with Barry Ferguson and Craig Moore on Tuesday the 12th of July. You can purchase memorabilia directly from 5 Stars and have it signed, or you can drop and post your own stuff off, and they'll have it ready for them to sign. I will keep the link in the blurb for that event for the next, I guess that probably the next two pods, this and next week, or actually maybe the next 2 or 3, and until the actual event happens, and if hopefully you get a chance to go along and see that. Rangers have asked fans for photographic collateral that may be included in official matchday programmes going forward for, I'm assuming it's for next season, and the article on the website says, do you have a favourite or treasured photo from your years as a Rangers fan that you would like to share with fellow Blue Noses? If so, don't delay, send your pic to us today. Oh, they're poets and they didn't even know it. And it could appear in the official matchday programme in 2022-23. It couldn't be easier. Simply attach your photo to an email and send it to editor@rangers.co.uk with Blueprints 2022-23 on the subject line. Please include as much information as possible in your caption, including the names of all the people who feature and where the photo was taken. And the reason I mention that this week is one. I think it's a great idea, and I do really like that. And I'm sure that some attending bears at Las Vegas 2022 will have some tremendous photographs that they'll be able to share. And if so, have at it, folks, and hopefully we'll get to see you in the Match Day magazine come this time next season. Not this time next season, because this time next season the season will be over. Come next season. My computer went off a wee bit there. You probably heard that, and it put me off a wee bit. I didn't put it on mute. Silly me. So finally, on last week's podcast, one thing I did fail to mention was that one of the main features of my trip back home was to go and see former One Direction star Harry Styles in concert at Ibrox. And I wouldn't, quite honestly, have gone to see him anywhere else, but since it was Ibrox, and since it had been such a long time since a concert had been hosted there, it was something that I really didn't want to miss. And my niece Chloe Carey is a mega fan of Harry and was basically a basket case for days before and after it. Such was the enormity of the occasion. We actually went down for Chloe's birthday, you might remember her from a previous pod last year, to see him in Vegas, which ended up being his first concert of this tour. That was early September, to mark Chloe's 20th birthday. And then we managed to secure a box on the club deck as a nice treat for my family and friends. And wow, I tell you, that's the way to watch games or events. If I could afford that every week, holy moly, I would definitely do that. The concert itself was really good, and I have to admit that the fella puts on a terrific show. And interestingly, it was his first ever solo stadium gig, which is a wee bit of history right there, to do it at Ibrox. And I chatted briefly with the club afterwards to see how the operational side of the concert went, whether it was a success or not. And the feedback was that the promoters really liked the venue, as it is more of a kind of inclusive and intimate feel to it, with the pitch being so close to the fans, and kind of unlike, say, for example, Hampden or Murrayfield, where you have the track around about the pitch and stuff like that. So hopefully this is a bit of a springboard to similar events being held there in the future, and maybe next time the end of the concert won't be kind of weirded out by some headcase Spider-Man off the club deck into the main stand below. It made me almost spill my red wine that I was consuming lots of at the end of the gig. But don't judge me for the Harry Styles thing. We were there for Rangers, we were there for Ibrox, I was there for Chloe. We all had we had a great time, and of course we overdid it a wee bit. Chloe then went on her merry way down to Wembley Stadium to see him I believe it was a week ago on Saturday or Sunday, something like that. I think she went on a Sunday night, maybe, something like that. Anyway, that will do it for this week, my friends. As always, thank you very, very, very much for taking the time to listen, and please do share it with whomever you think might enjoy it. And until next week, please take care and all the very best. Cheerio.